What's going on, everybody? Happy Mental Health Mondays. Your boy Matty B, Epis Radio. This is episode 22. Block out the noise. All right, we're about to hit this intro and get the show on the road. But before we do, all right, before anything, if you're here with us live, please like, comment, follow, subscribe, keep the notifications on. Whether you're coming from Twitch, YouTube, the whole nine. All right, do whatever you can to support the show. I really would appreciate it. Listen, and as always, keep showing up here at Epis and keep showing up for yourself and in your life and everything that's going on. Believe in yourself. Have faith in yourself. Be kind to yourself. All right, thank you for joining me tonight. It's going to be a beautiful show. Get a little Epis right before your dinner or while you're eating dinner, either way. All right, and then we'll send you on your merry way for the night. And hopefully it leads to a beautiful week. All right, and if you're just watching in post, we appreciate you as well. Please do all the same. Like, comment, follow, subscribe. All right, we really appreciate it. And as in I really appreciate it. All right, without further ado, let's hit this intro. Let's get it going on. Epis Radio, Mental Mondays with Epis, episode 22. Block out the noise. Keep showing up.
Wake up! You can't remember where it was. Has this dream stopped?
That's right.
Hope you find some kind of peace of mind.
Oh, I love this song.
And hope you find some kind of peace of mind.
That's right, that's right.
Was true.
Oh, man. This song just makes me feel good.
Hope you find
All right.
some kind of peace of mind.
I hope you find some kind of peace of mind. Thank you for joining me. It is Epis Radio Mental Mondays with Epis, episode 22. It's your boy Matty B. Thank you. Hopefully all of you had a beautiful Monday. All right. I hope as you ease into your dinner time, you're relaxing, you're enjoying yourself, maybe over a nice meal, indulging yourself to a nice cocktail, whatever it is, whatever makes you happy. All right. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for joining us, those that are on Twitch right now here, Nick, Taskmaster, anybody coming from YouTube, we appreciate you as well. Not going live on TikTok tonight, just thought I'd give it a break. You know, it's a lot going on when I'm managing the shows. And, you know, literally when I do have the TikTok, it's usually off the phone right now. And it's just a lot going on. So I apologize to my TikTok fans. Like, where is he? I was expecting him to be back this week. Giving that a break this week, but we'll do it. We'll do it again next time. You know, we had to go up for the stream for the last sports show, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Lot to talk about tonight. A little bit where sports and mental health intertwines here a little. Marshawn Nealon, defensive end of the Dallas Cowboys, 24 years old, unalived himself, as they say nowadays. After a car chase with police. The details of why he was in a car chase in the first place is still a bit fuzzy. Apparently, it was an apparent stop, traffic stop, and, you know, he sped up, got away. With all that being said, you know, he left behind, you know, wife and kids and just sad story. And it's something that I want to touch on because, you know, I know all too well about, you know, having suicidal thoughts. I myself have been there at times in my younger ages and, you know, have seen other people in my life struggle, you know, with certain mental health issues and, you know, unfortunately have led to unaliving themselves in the process. And it you know, it shakes me on a day in which is my son's third birthday. We celebrate the Charlie Joseph today is his birthday, and he is just been a constant reminder in my life to keep going, to keep fighting. You just screwed me with that. There's a skeleton with a Ducks jersey. Yes. Do you like? I think I'll name him Benny. All right, because we got a skeleton outside that's also named Benny. I thought that was a good little prop. He was part of my Halloween costumes, but we'll go with Benny. Yeah, he's my guy. Who goes there? Is that the Mavis? Come here, baby. My daughter decided to come upstairs and have a sneak peek into what's going on over there. Come here, baby. You don't want to come here? No? All right, she's a little shy. So yeah. For those of you that are like, what the hell's going on in the corner over here? Yeah, that's Benny. All right, I recently got this Ducks jersey from a friend of mine. Shout out to Ashley, who went to Anaheim and actually went to the stadium, bought that for me and all that. I'm not like a huge Ducks fan, but growing up, the Mighty Ducks, got into it. And then I also love orange, so now the new home jerseys have orange on it. So I was like, yeah, I need that. That's awesome. So maybe I am. I don't know. The Rangers aren't doing too well anyway, so might as well be a Ducks fan at this point. But yeah, say hello to Benny, Nick. Kind of caught me off guard there with the comment. I had to comment on it though, because it's the purpose of it. I thought it'd be a good touch to the room, so or at least to the studio. Again, today being my son's third birthday, the struggles that I went through with him, and I look back on my younger years, and I'm glad I didn't make the decision to succumb to my drug habit, or make that decision to commit suicide. Like, I go back, there's so many times where it just felt easier to shut things off. It just felt easier to, instead of facing, what was ahead, what was in front of you, it just felt easier to shut the lights off and just, go to sleep forever almost. And it's crazy to say because, I feel like I have so much to live for now. And to actually feel that, to live that, and it's scary, and who knows what this young man was going through, Marshawn Nealon. Apparently he had struggled with mental health issues, so this was not something that was new to him. He had recently lost his mother, I believe just a year, maybe 2 years prior to this happening. And your heart goes out to him. I mean, the guy just for those of you who don't know sports, he literally just had his first touchdown ever a week prior to this happening, right? So it just how sad it's almost as if it's like storybook ending, but not. It's a story in which it ended on a bad note. It ended on a very sour note, and it's leaving us with questions. It's leaving, I'm sure, his kids and his wife with many questions that they just probably will never have the answer to. Hello, who goes there? Did you get me? Okay, you did. I was trying to get Maeve in here. You want to say hello to the folks? And the wife is here, everybody. She's being shy, too. Why is everybody being shy tonight? What's going on? Yeah, I know. She was napping over here. All right. Kind of busy, a little bit, and Nick, the naps. Yeah, man, my wife is definitely known for those after-work naps over there. Listen, you got to squeeze them in as much as you can, all right? That's just the rule. When everything's good, I think, Charlie's fed down there, Coop's sleeping, Maeve's hanging out. She's been snacking and eating, and gonna get ready for bed soon. So squeezing in a little nap right now while I do my thing up here. There you go. It's all about balance, man. It's all about balance. It works. We make it work. But again, man, just you wonder what's going on in that kid's head prior to making this move, and me as a father, I couldn't imagine leaving my kids behind, but I get it. It's tough. It's tough just, facing the everyday music, just the everyday struggle of, having to show up and having to do what you do. And, who knows, maybe that intense pressure of just being a father and having to perform as an NFL athlete. And it was just, it ate away at him. It was far too much. I don't know. I'm just only speculating, but you would think, right? It's a tough standard to live by. It requires excellence at all times, especially fatherhood. As fathers, we are expected to do only good and provide and all this, and and now in this day and age, I feel like fathers have been more and more inclusive in their children's lives, and and that in itself will take a toll, and just being human, just being here. At the end of the day, the struggles of the everyday life, it certainly, can get the best of any of us. I don't know, the type of battles that he was fighting mentally. But you feel for him and you hope that, he had a network of people around him that, were willing to lend that ear. Maybe he didn't, maybe he felt alone. It's why I do this show, man, because, it's not only just for me, but maybe for anybody out there listening and wondering, hey, maybe this shit ain't worth it either. I'm here to tell you it is. It is. It may not seem like that all the time. We lose sight very easily. We take things for granted constantly, every day in our lives. But, I look at somebody like my son who's, now 3 years old. This time 3 years ago, I simply was just unsure whether or not he would even be alive. Whether or not we would actually be even having this day to celebrate. And here we are. And I'm forever grateful for that. There was a very deep, dark place that we were in as a family 3 years ago. Every day was a constant struggle and a constant fight. And not only for us, but for him as well, just in his health battle. And there was some nights where we didn't even think he would live through the night. Just to be here, just to have this, if he didn't give up, so why should I? Because he could have. His little body could have quit and said, you know what, fuck this. I'm done. And we could have quit as parents in our faith for him and said, you know what? We're done. And let him go. That option was on the table. When he was born, the doctors literally gave us the option of letting him just die. Straight up, just die. I believe I've told this on the show before. Sorry, as I wipe away my tears a little bit. Tricky Nick from Twitch. What I looked up was, yeah, his mom and something happened with his girlfriend during the day of the chase. Interesting. All right. Yeah, I got to look more into it. It's a bit fuzzy. I tried reading a couple of articles on it. I read an article from People's. They don't really get into too much detail about his personal and what was going on there. So, it probably just as much of a question mark, for the family as it is the public. But thanks, Nick, for checking that out. And I'm sure, right? It's understandable. We're all fighting these battles we know nothing about. Hello, my Mavis. What are you doing, baby? Can you call? Yeah, are you gonna come in and say hello to everybody or no? Since you're over here, come on. No. Can you close the door then, please? Please. Oh, okay. All right. Well, mommy's got dumplings for you. Don't worry. What do you mean? Why? Yeah, I know it's Charlie's birthday. We are gonna celebrate it. I'll be down there in a little bit. Okay. Why? Why? Because I'm working. Come over here and say hello. Come on. Oh my God, my little daughter over here opening the door midstream. I don't even care anymore. It's a beautiful thing. These are the things, man. This is the things that make me happy, that make me laugh and smile, and it's just little moments like that, right? That keep you going. Truthfully, I mean, if you're a parent, yeah, I don't take anything for granted anymore, man. I feel for this kid Nealon, losing his mother. I know what it's like to lose a parent, losing my father at freshman in high school at the ripe age of 13, not having an answer, not having a actual father figure to look up to. I had other male figures in my life, but, certainly, to me, my father was everything. He was my world. He was what, I believed a man should be, I think he emulated that perfectly, and unfortunately, he was taken away from me far too soon, and you would argue that he was battling his own mental health issues. I know at the end of the day, the diagnosis is liver cancer, but. Dad had some demons. Dad had some inner battles that probably nobody knew of. I'm not even so quite sure that my own mother knew. And Mooncakes is saying she doesn't want to go in because of the skeleton. Yeah, she doesn't want to go in because Benny the skeleton over there is creeping her out. I've completely traumatized my daughter this year from Halloween decorations, and I've hung skeletons outside her bedroom window. I had this skeleton giving out candy that's an animatronic that shouts at you and moves and all that, and scared all the local children throughout the October month. And now, because I have the skeleton Benny over here chilling, Benny the duck, she's not stepping a foot in here too, which is probably a good idea on my part. That way ensures that she does not interrupt the stream to a huge degree. Not that I mind that she comes in, because I would absolutely be happy to integrate her into the show. But yeah, it worked, because she not only did not step foot in here, but she ended up closing my door and everything like that. So there you go. Strategic planning from me on that one. All right, we're going to continue on this subject a little bit. We're already half an hour into the show. I guess a little bit less with the start time with the start dead time at the beginning of the show. But I do want to play this week's mental health video of the week, as always, as we always like to do here on Mental Mondays with Epis. All right, and then I'm actually going to play a note to myself. I released a part 3 or episode 3, volume 1 of a note to myself. Was it, I believe, 2 weeks ago or a week? Yeah, I believe it was a week ago, because I didn't do a weekly Mental Monday video last week. So instead I just released a note to myself. So I'm gonna play that for you guys as well, because it ties into a little bit about what I'm talking about, just with the whole suicide issue with Mr. Nealon, and just everything, you know, that I've talked about, you know, with myself, and just you know, my struggles, my mental health struggles over the years, losing my father, having my kids, battling you know, substance abuse, the whole nine. This week's Mental Health Monday took place in the middle of nowhere. Not really the middle of nowhere, but I'm going to gatekeep the location. But it is in New York, if you could find it. But it's a very popular area nowadays. And but it's a very beautiful area, near and dear to my heart. I enjoy going there so much. It's just a beautiful place to hike. In this particular case, I was doing a little bit of a trail run, you know, so I'll, you know, doing my thing. I was out, wanted to do like 3 miles, something like that, but, well, I actually did do 3 miles. I wanted to do a little bit more than that, but ended up cutting it a little short. Wanted to go see my son, hang out with him, have a little lunch. So that's what I was doing. So check out this week's mental health video of the week. Let me know what you think in the comments right here, whether you are here with us live or in post. Let me know what you think about this week's video. If you have something that you want me to talk about, or, you know, a critique of any kind, let me know. Really would appreciate it. Hit me up in the comments or DMs. All right, here's this week's mental health video of the week. Stop letting other people dictate your happiness. You invest way too much time into what other people may think. They're gonna judge you either way. Whether you do good or bad, you fail or succeed, somebody's always gonna have something to say. Don't rack your brain with all that nonsense. It's just a bunch of stories you're telling yourself. Keep doing what you're doing. Block out all the noise. And keep showing up. All right, one more time. Stop letting other people dictate your happiness. You invest way too much time into what other people may think. They're gonna judge you either way. Whether you do good or bad, you fail or succeed, somebody's always gonna have something to say. Don't rack your brain with all that nonsense. It's just a bunch of stories you're telling yourself. Keep doing what you're doing. Block out all the noise. And keep showing up. That's right. I love that one. We'll get into that a little bit. And then, but before I do, let me play the note to myself, and then we'll talk a little bit about both. But that's a good one indeed. All right.
A note to myself. One day, they'll stop asking you for help. One day, she'll stop asking you to hold her hand. One day, he'll stop asking you to play catch. One day, it'll all change. And it's too late before you know it. So keep saying yes while you still have the chance. And keep showing up.
Hope you find
kind of peace of mind. Yeah. One more time for those of you that are
A
watching.
note to myself. One day, they'll stop asking you for help. One day, she'll stop asking you to hold her hand. One day, he'll stop asking you to play catch. One day, it'll all change. And it's too late before you know it. So keep saying yes while you still have the chance. And keep showing up.
Hope you find some kind of peace of mind. Find
Awesome. Alrighty. There you go. That is this mental health video of the week and last week's A Note to Myself. I don't release a note to myself every week, so this is just volume 1, episode 3 of that mental health video of the week. Generally, every week. It's been every week for the last, Jesus, I don't know, 9 months? Yep, 9 months. Pretty much every week. I miss like a couple of weeks, maybe 2 or 3 in there, but yeah, I try to get one out to you guys almost every week. I hope you like it. If you don't, you do. Let me know what you do about it. Let me know what you think. Your comments. Would love to hear your thoughts. I know, a lot of times with these subjects, I think people are reluctant to reach out, reluctant, if anything, they will privately. It's interesting, a lot of what I do here is making myself vulnerable. It's not always about me, but a lot of times, yeah, I relate to what I'm talking about. And certainly when it comes to note to myself, those are all just about what's going on in my life and just how, the reality of just, being alive, being a human, being a parent. The constant everyday struggle. Like I said, like this man, Marshawn Nealon, was going through. We're all going through something. We're all battling something, man. I used to get angry at people. I used to get frustrated and trying to understand why people do the things they do and trying to appease people and make them happy and just. I've always been told I'm too nice. You're too nice, man. You're too nice. And it's true. It's true. I just care. I care too much about what people think and what people do. And I still do to a fault. But I've learned now that a lot of the times people's reactions to me and or just, the things they do, their own actions, is not a result of what I'm doing or, the effect that I may have on them. It's more so just about them and what is going on in their lives and their struggle. And, I oftentimes I would think it's about me. What am I doing? Am I doing something wrong? What can I be doing more? And at the end of the day, none of that matters. This person is dealing with something personally that has nothing to do with you. That and all of a sudden you're somehow turning that on yourself and making it about you and which in reality it couldn't be farther from the truth. And it's something that I've had to learn over the years, and it's just practice and understand that we're all living our own lives, so and to not take things to heart. And at the end of the day, what people think of you really it only matters if you let it matter, if you let it affect you, if you give it the time of day and you invest stock into what it is somebody may be saying about you. I used to care a lot what people may think You know, the way I used to move and my actions were rooted in fear and because of what others may think. And, you know, it wasn't more so about me or just what I could, you know, potentially gain or do or, you know, accomplish, you know, from, you know, taking a leap, taking the next step, and or doing something out of my comfort zone. Before, you know, I wouldn't even think about that. It was I would always think about, oh well, you know, what are people gonna think about me? You know, what's it gonna happen to me? You know, what are they gonna say about me? You know, and you know, especially when it comes to content creating, you know, that's one thing that I've learned that you have to, you know, completely block out. That's what I mean by this week's mental health video of the week. Block out the noise. You have to block it out. You can't hold any stock into it. It used to bother me immediately, you know, like if somebody thought something negatively. But I've come to realize that people are going to criticize you one way or the other, whether you're doing well or you're not, whether you're, you know, failure or, you know, a success. You know, people will always criticize your every movement. The key to it is you know, taking it um, taking it in the right way. You know, constructive criticism is a good thing, and we want to be, you know, open to, you know, hearing critique. Definitely as a content creator, but in anything you do in life, you know what I'm saying? You know, you don't want to assume that you have all the answers, that you are made of perfection, or that you move in perfection. You know, that is not the way to go about things. You know, you have to be open to constructive criticism, but you know, don't invest your emotion and your livelihood, your everything, you know, your energy in others that ultimately just want to see you fail. Ultimately that just are might be interested in your downfall. Don't let it happen. Don't do it. You know, it's there's absolutely no reason for you to invest any of your time, any of your energy into a person that ultimately is not looking out for your best interest. Now, it may be confusing at times. You know, people put on one hell of a facade. You know, the person, you know, that I just had this conversation with a good friend of mine. You know, a person that, you know, supports you all the time could silently be rooting for your downfall. You know, now how are you as the person supposed to know that? I don't. You know, it's tough. You probably won't ever. But there are those types of people. You know, misery loves company. You know, look out for that. You know, look out for people who just talk negatively about things and or about others all the time. You know, surround yourself with like-minded folks that are just as driven as you, or passionate as you, or interested in certain hobbies and interests like you, because that matters too, right? That matters big time to your mental health. You know, there were many times, many friends I've come across over the years that were, you know, awfully negative, that, you know, go figure, I don't hang out with anymore. Not that I wouldn't want to, but, you know, maybe just not as frequently, you know. And reason being it is just because of that, you know, because it's just oftentimes it's rooted in negativity and pessimism, and that manifests in your everyday life and what you're trying to do. It just does. You know, a toxic work environment, the worst, right? The absolute worst. Why would you want to stay there? Why would you be there? Thankfully, you know, I'm around, you know, some folks now that, you know, I really enjoy being. And I like my work environment, although it could be toxic at times, you know, which I think is any workplace. But, um, or at least, you know, majority of workplaces, you know. In America, I can only speak for, and I don't know how it is everywhere else in the world, but yeah, these things matter. These things matter for sure. You want to be around people that are going to uplift you, make you happy, not bring you down. That will affect your everyday life, man. And more importantly, check in on your friends. I know it's something for me personally that I don't feel like I ever do good enough job of. Um, I don't know, maybe my friends think otherwise, but I just feel like there's less and less of a connection. I gotta fix my hat over here. It's like a little too tight on the head right now. Yeah, fix that. But it's something that, I feel like I don't do enough of is checking on certain friends or even family members and things like that, enough. Um, Maybe I do. Maybe I don't, but whether or not it's reciprocated, I just feel like this moral obligation to do so just because, I know we're all battling these battles we know nothing about. And even when it comes to our closest friends, you would think we would know, but even they too, I'm sure, are hiding some things that, they're insecure about or they're just worried about. And like a Mr. Nealon, like anybody who has unalived himself over the years, we just may never know, right? We just may never know what's going on behind the scenes, and we can't just assume just because somebody's putting on a smile that they're in good graces and that they're in a good place. It's just simply not the case, and we have to be mindful of that. We have to, you know, more now so than ever. We really have to come together. We really have to reach out. Men especially, it's still such a toxic landscape, if you will. I love to talk about this a lot because it is a lot of the times, man. This image of what a man should be is just is crazy. We're always expected to not get emotional, not let our guards down and talk about things, and you see shit like this happen. When's it gonna end? When's it gonna be okay to not be okay? There's a mental health Monday that I put out a while ago, months ago, probably like 2 months ago. That was the message of it. When's it gonna be okay to not be okay? And I think it's so important. I think it's necessary because we're always expected to be just this rock solid fortress that will never falter, will never come short of the fatherly or the manly expectation of showing up. When are we allowed to be weak? When are we allowed to cry and be sad and and be vulnerable? Almost never in this day and age in this society. You be ridiculed. You be judged. You be everything under the sun. Especially with the internet nowadays, man. I recently was watching like this news segment about like this I believe it's the Gen Zers. Um the generation after me. I don't know if it's Gen Z. I forget it. Forget what all these. The generation after me. So basically, low 20-year-olds, like 20 to like late 20s, like early 20s to late 20s. They were holding a socialized event, and I believe it was at Central Park or a Manhattan Park, and the idea of this event was to delete all the social media. Just get rid of it. So it was like this mass deletion of social media, and the idea was everybody come together, they'll delete all the social media, and actually talk and interact, and and just be present and all that. um, I think that's where our society is leaning to. I think the younger generations are starting to disconnect. And it's funny because, here I am wanting you to connect on this platform. I do believe there is a space for this, but I think this is where it lies. I think it's making more of a connection as opposed to just doom scrolling and not learning. I consider my platform, my space, an area in which we could come together and get vulnerable and talk and just be human and relax and laugh and not take things so damn seriously all the time. That matters, right? It's very important. um it's what my platform's always been about. But I'm proud to see that the kids are maybe disconnecting a little bit, even if it means to my detriment and to my growth of my channel and my platform. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I remember what it was like to be a kid, to be growing up, not having a phone. In order, if I wanted to go hang out with my friend, I had to, get on my bike and literally ride like 20 minutes to my friend's house. I'd be halfway across the freaking town. My mother has no idea where the hell I am. And I go knock on his door to find out if he was home and is available. Typically, his, parents would answer, and I have to, see if he can come out and play. Those things are beautiful. Let's go back to those days. Use a phone for what just it was. Why? Because I just think there was better connections back then. I think we hung out more, we talked more, we conversed more. We hung out on the stoop, for hours on end, just hanging, just talking. We weren't doing anything, just talking. Like, yeah, and then when video games came about, I was into it, but still, we were outside, man. We were always outside, just hanging at the park, and it's not a matter of just being a kid again, but because, I know the kids nowadays are less connected, but I think the generations are starting to see through that. I think they're starting to seek that way of life, and because they know it was once a thing. I think, and and there's just too much. You don't know everything with everything that's going on nowadays with AI, and our realities are so distorted. You don't know what to believe in. The boomer generation is lost in it. They don't even know how to navigate it, and I feel sorry for them. My generation is on the cusp of what's real and what's not anymore. We understood you know what it was like back in the day. But the times are changing. The times are changing. And with a country divided right now in terms of politics, with you know with a generation full of AI generated videos, and the attention span of I I don't even know, a fly, I suppose. Who knows where we're headed mentally. I don't think these mental health struggles are just gonna like end just like that overnight. I think this is something that is going to be a major concern as we get deeper into whatever it is we're gearing up towards. Um, we have to get together. We have to talk more. We have to disconnect a little bit. Get off these phones constantly. Like, yes, I'm a content creator, but I really try to just stay on my phone for my content and my content only. If I am scrolling and doom scrolling, it's to fish for certain topics, things for the show, for the sports show, for mental health, and just like really gain something from that. I see it with my kids. My kids are a constant reminder to, like, get off everything. Because it's so easy, to just distract our little ones with, hey, here's the TV, here's a tablet, and go. My kids don't have tablets. I know a lot of other parents do, and I'm not saying that I'm better for it or anything, but it's one of those things that we have a tablet, they just don't use it. But it's one of those things that I try to at least mitigate, because I don't want them to be as disconnected as I am at times, in my own content and my own form of things. That's why I get out and go hiking and things like that, because I get away from it too. It's forcefully stripping myself of you know being consumed constantly. Another aspect of it too is with oftentimes with social media, we're constantly comparing ourselves. We're constantly, you know, trying to find the similarities or the differences in who we are, and you'll get lost in that too, man. Social media will have you believe you should be running multiple marathons, doing all that, it's just, so a lot of times it's unrealistic, right? Lifting 300 pounds, it's insane, don't get me wrong, some of those things are achievable, but, you know, there are things that are meant to be extraordinary, and, and the everyday person is not necessarily doing extraordinary things, nor do they need to. Very easy to compare ourselves to others on the internet, and almost to a fault and almost to our detriment. It's not healthy at times. Just like what you should do in terms of talking to other people and surrounding yourself with like-minded people, those types of people that are positive and uplifting, you should also do the same with the type of content you consume. Consume positive, uplifting, motivational content, which is a gray area in itself, because, again, you can, see crazy, content in which, like I'm running across Africa, just for example, what I'm saying? Not, there are those people, believe me. But it not like, I don't like myself, I don't look at those people, oh, now I need to go run across Africa, you know what I'm saying? But, like, shoot for the stars in your own way, of course. Don't need to go out there and run all the freaking marathons and things like that. I've said that before on here on the show, but um, blaze your own trail, right? Do your own thing, and understand that we all are living different lives, that we all are, going through our own battles. If so and so doesn't, pick up the phone call or answer your text, maybe not get so angry about it. Maybe just understand that, oh, they really could be busy, or something might be going on, and this and that. Even if that's not the case, it's probably just best to give them the benefit of the doubt and not invest that negative energy into something that ultimately doesn't exist. And even if you are right about your intuition of what is going on, or speculation on what that is going on with that person, let it be true when the time comes. Don't invest that negativity or that energy in a what if, and a maybe. Control what you can control, and that's it. Live in the present. Don't live in the past. Don't live in the future. Don't live in the what ifs. It's like I mentioned in this week's mental health video. That's just gonna put you in a place of negativity, of just constant negativity, and manifest not only in your mind but in your everyday life in what you do. Believe me, because I've been there, man. You know, like it's very easy to fall into that trap. We all do. We're human. But it really does matter what, you do on your everyday. Stick to a routine. Find a routine that is positive and uplifting and disciplined. Discipline is the root of a lot of happiness. And it may not always be fun, but sticking to a discipline, sticking to that routine, keeping a structure in your life is super important to succeeding and achieving anything you want to do. If there's something that you work on, you want to be good at, well, you have to be disciplined in whatever it is that craft may be. It's just necessary. But discipline is not always pretty. Be disciplined in the content you consume. Be disciplined in the people you surround yourself with. If you don't like where you are at your job, then leave. You don't want to leave, you're scared to leave? No, leave. Move on. There'll be better opportunity. There'll be something else. If you want change, the only way to make change is by changing. Stop falling into that comfort zone. We get so easily just content with our lives. We have to find a way to get out of that, little algorithm we've created for ourselves, if you will. All right? Not good. Switch it up a little bit here before we get out of here for tonight. Again, thank you for joining me on this beautiful Mental Monday. All right, we got a little music going for you. Shout out to Kendra Biner 22 minutes ago with the subscription on YouTube. Kendra, appreciate you. Apologize that I wasn't ready for that one on cue. It's a little wrapped up in the conversation today. I just feel like I've been in it. All right. Just locked in. All right. I got a busy week ahead. I'm running a 50-mile race this Saturday coming up, and man, I've been training pretty much hardcore for the last month and a half about for this one, and training all year long really, but I had to take a month off because of medical procedures, so things kind of threw me out of whack, and I've been mentally gearing up for this now for a while, and the time has come. I'm about to toe that line one more time, and I gotta say, just pre-race nerves, just knowing, going into the unknown, what could happen. But again, it's all those stories I'm telling myself, everything that I may be worried about, what could happen, what might happen, doesn't matter. Block out the noise, right? Block out the noise and understand that you are capable, that you are strong, that you are built for this. You put in the work. Now the time's just to show up. Do what you gotta do. Man, I tell you though, just getting out yesterday for a little trail run, just going hiking. I really haven't been hiking too much this year, which I think going forward in 2026 is going to be like a major priority of mine. I think, I've done a lot this year. I set out to run 4 marathons, and I'm going to officially achieve that goal with running at least half of this race. I don't even need to complete this race, but if I run at least half of it, I would still achieve my goal for the year. And then on top of that, I have another marathon lined up in to end 2025. So that would be 5 marathons and 5 marathons total, but two of those would be 250-mile ultras. So technically speaking, you could throw 2 more marathons, which would essentially, that would make 7 marathons this year, if you're counting the 250s as 2. I don't. I'm counting them at 1. Me and my wife count them as 1. But if you're counting the 250s as 2, and then once I complete this 50, and then the next marathon, which I believe is in December, I don't even know when it is because my wife scheduled it, and I have no idea. I have 24 hours notice to when the marathon will be. That has been the deal between me and her. It's kind of a fun thing we've been doing. I know I've mentioned it before here on the show. Yeah, then that'd be either number 5 or number 7, however you're counting them. But again, you know, and that's amazing. Again, I talked about it on last Mental Monday, how 16-year-old me would just never dream that was even possible. Just running 1 marathon ever, let alone 5, and then potentially 7, depending on your count. 5 marathons with 250-mile ultras in a year. What? I would have took a hit of the joint and been like, "What the hell are you smoking?" Like that's wild. I would never do that. And here I am. And not only here I am doing it, but like I'm critiquing myself in the process. I'm hard on myself in the process. Oh, I could do better. Oh, I could have a better time. You know, it's not even. I've lost sight of, dude. You're running 5 marathons in a year. Like, whoa, like hold on a minute. Just maybe pat yourself on the back a little bit. So again, like for me to just do it, it's great. I love it, but I think going forward, man, yeah, Nick, 4 marathons, bro. And again, like I said, it could be 5, if I finish the one. I believe it's in December. Because it's got to be in December now. Because, we said it was in this calendar year. So we're already in November. I don't think, unless it's in the end of November, oh, man. Like, could you imagine if the marathon's, like, next week? Instead, like, this Saturday coming up is the following week? Oh, man, that'll be my cool down run for the 50 mile. Oh, Jesus. So I have no idea. But, with that being said, just being out in the woods, hiking, and just, having that space and because, for me, man, that's my happy place. It really is. I love running. I love doing all these things. And I've fallen in love with the sport of ultra running and just, running these races. But I think for me personally, I probably will dial it back, and I'll be more structured and more focused and more spaced out. I think I did a lot this year, and I don't know if it was just, hey, maybe just proving in me that I could do it, more so that I just kind of wanted to do it. Like I just wanted to have some fun. I seen some good opportunities. I had the money to do it. I had the time to do it, and I knew I could. Now, I know if I had spaced some of these out and actually had a more structured training plan, that my performance on some of these races could have excelled greatly. And again, I don't have a coach, I don't have a trainer, nothing. I just this is all basically self-taught. I'm just YouTube University and learning through friends and connections of what maybe I should be doing, and just trial and error a little bit. I played sports growing up, this and that, but running marathons, doing this, running like competitively was never a thing for me. So to be doing it like now on this type of stage is interesting. But again, my love is, at the core of it is hiking. I love summiting a mountain. I love being above the clouds, out there in sub-below temperatures, climbing in 2, 3, 4 feet of snow, with, ice crampons on my feet like this big, and just, or the middle of summer, in the thick of the forest, with the unknown around every corner, just feeling the energy, the life of the mountain, amongst the trees. That shit makes me feel alive, man. I've said, oh man, we gotta scrap this. No, we don't need YouTube. I mean, hey, we are live on YouTube, so shout out for YouTube right there. We gave you a little free promotion right there, but I'll give you the ultimate promotion as well. Shout out to my YouTube fans. Shout out to Kendra Binder for the subscription earlier. Appreciate you. And shout out to all my people on Twitch. Got a little music going as we close up tonight's Mental Mondays with episode 22, Block Out the Noise. If you're just joining us now, you're watching in post, and you haven't caught everything, go check it out. Go back to the beginning. It's a good one. We're talking a little bit, getting a little emotional tonight. Shed a couple of tears for myself. All right, it's an emotional day. It's an emotional day. It's my son's, Charlie Boy, third birthday. All right, he's 3 years old, my little miracle boy. For those of you that don't know, my son Charlie Joseph Benedetti was born 1 pound 9 ounces at the gestational age of 24 weeks. All right, like I said, mentioned earlier in the show, we were told by the doctors on that day, basically gave us an ultimatum to either let him live, and they essentially guaranteed that he would have lifelong medical issues and or complications, and or the other option was to not let him live, and they knew that once he was born that likely he would not be able to breathe on his own and sustain on his own, that he would have to get tubed and in order, basically it's like just basic life support type stuff in order to survive. And they gave us that option, and I don't think me and my wife regret that decision that we made at all at any point. And here we are 3 years later. We have a beautiful baby boy, and he's the Hammer Joseph. He's a smiling boy, and yes, he does have his complications. He is legally blind. He is essentially disabled waist down, and he does utilize his legs, his lower extremities, but in terms of being ambulatory and actually being able to walk right now is a very big question mark for him. So you're talking lifelong challenges for Charlie Boy, and just I wouldn't have it any other way. I love him to death. He makes me smile. He makes me laugh every single day. He's a constant reminder to keep going, to keep fighting, to keep showing up. Something I was just proposing to my wife, since we're on the topic of marathons, is that I was, I never even considered that maybe, I think it's an age requirement on his behalf, but maybe one day I can actually run a registered marathon while pushing Charlie, and then having him actually run one with me. I think that would be amazing. I think that it would just be something I would love to do, man. Going back before I get out of here, because it's time for a little dinner and for me to go. I apologize, but I could keep on going, but it is getting late, and I do have a lot of kids, and they're just about ready for dinner time. So, no, they should actually be eating dinner and or done. I know Charlie ate earlier, but it's ready for bedtime soon. Really, yes, we do bedtime a little late here. That's a great thought. Take care of yourself, but Task, man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for always showing up, man. It's always good to hear from you. I hope all is well. Sorry I haven't been in the Discord in quite a long time. I just, ever since we had little Cooper, it has been, just busy, man. Busy. And it's nothing to you guys in Shiv Nation. I love all of you. I care about all of you. I think about you guys a lot. It's just I'm trying to fit in everything all the time, and man, it's just never enough time in the day. Yeah, it just does that. That's how it feels like, man. I just swear to God, it's just, you know, I'm always chasing time, man. If I could just buy more time, you know. But I love all of you. I love you, Task, as well. Really, man. You know, I really appreciate you always popping in. It's a beautiful thing. But yeah, that would be something for me, man. That would be you know, just a lifetime, you know, bucket list. Along with, you know, running with one of my other kids. Like, I would, you know, whether it be Dylan or Maeve. Dylan actually did run a race with me once. You know, a bit of a controversy with that race. He didn't quite finish his promised portion of it, but he did run a section of that race with me, and nonetheless, that was it was just nice that he really wanted to be a part of it and do it and all that. So that was awesome in itself. But I would love, you know, to have one of my other kids, Maeve, Cooper, you know, Charlie, be a part of that. But going forward, man, I think, you know, the plan needs to be, you know, we didn't start looking ahead a little bit. You know, I know we want to live in the present, we want to do our things, but, you know, 2026 is around the corner. What are some of the things that you're doing? You know, what are some of the things that you have planned going forward? What are some of the goals and achievements, things that you want to accomplish going forward? And, you know, everybody talks about a New Year's resolution. Well, last year, for me, it wasn't just a New Year's resolution. It wasn't something that I just set out and said, yeah, you know, I'm going to just do this. Nah, man, like, for me, it was like, it wasn't just being a New Year's resolution. I told myself I'm going to run 4 marathons, and not for the freaking New Year's, not for another, because I knew I had it in me. I knew I could do it, and I'm gonna achieve that this Saturday. I'm gonna toe that fucking line and show the hell up, because I can, because I'm healthy, I'm able, and I'm alive, man. I'm here. All right. This life is hard. This shit is hard. It's not meant to be easy. And I think that's why I love it so much. I think that's why I love hiking and just, you know, and putting my body through that pain and through that suffering, because it is a reminder in me that I'm alive, that I'm here. You know, I get to do these things, man. You know, there's some people out there that would just dream of it, that can only dream of it, that don't get the option to do these things. I'm here living it because I can, because I want to set an example for my children, for my friends, for my family, that, hey, man, you know, this life is worth living. Don't lose sight of that. This shit is worth living despite all the struggles, all the things that are going on around us, everything that, you know, will bring us down. You are the main character in your movie, and you ought to start living like so. And that's it, man. That's really it. I don't know how much more way I can put it to you tonight, because that's the answer. All right? You are the main character in your own movie, and you need to start living like it. Block out the noise. Stop giving a shit about so-and-so. Stop giving a crap about what Karen says to you about work, criticizing about what you do. It doesn't matter, man. You know what you're doing. You know what you're capable of. You know you're doing a damn good job. Stay in your lane. Protect your own mental health. And block out all that noise. Task, I love you, brother. And I love all of you coming from Twitch. I love all of you come from YouTube. Everywhere. All over the socials. I think that's also very important way to end this show. I did it on a couple episodes and I almost forgot about it, but truly, I do love you, all of you, even the haters. Because somewhere deep down, there's a good person. There's some good in you. I know it is. I believe in it. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's keep showing up, everybody, for the sake of Mr. Nealon and those that have succumbed to that struggle of unaliving themselves. Let's remember that this life is worth living and to not lose sight of that. All right. Well, everybody, with that being said, it's your boy Matty B, Epis Sports Radio. This is Epis Radio. I said Epis Sports Radio. This is Epis Radio. Mental Mondays with Epis, episode 22, Block Out the Noise. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for joining. And as always, keep showing up.
Wake up! Is every number where it was? Has this dream stopped?
Hope you find some kind of peace of mind. Hope you find some kind
All right, well, without further ado, me and Benny the Skeleton say goodnight. Keep showing up.
Was true.
And have a beautiful week. Join me later this week for another sports show.
In my
A lot to talk about in the sports world. We love you. Rest in peace. Marshawn Neal.
some